Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So it came down to credit, how the affluent people use credit. Boom, it went off in my head. I'm like, man, I got to do something about this. I got to learn how to use my credit. At that time, my credit was probably 430s, something like that.
Right.
Like
You almost have to work to get it that low.
Exactly.
So and you can't, what a lot of people don't know is like bankruptcy is not an option. You're not bankrupting.
You can't put student loans in bankruptcy.
Right.
You cannot. You can't do that. Another thing that's like that too is those SBA loans that came out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
You personal guaranteed that. Like you can't put that in bankruptcy. Right. So I'm like, man, where do I start? Somebody told me, man, you need to go get a secured loan. A secured credit card. You need to go get a secured credit card. I'm like, okay, well, where do I go get a secured credit card? Up here in Indianapolis, we don't have a lot of the larger banks other than Chase. So we have Chase. We have things like Chase, Huntington, PNC, Fifth Third, Key. Those are our bigger banks around here. We did get we got Bank of America at the beginning of the pandemic or right after like 2021, somewhere around it. We did get a burst of Bank of Americas on the scene. We don't have Wells Fargo in Marion County. I think it may be in the other parts of Indiana, but not in Marion County. So I'm like, man, where do I go? Well, somebody said, well, check with your bank. I had an account at PNC at the time. So I said, hey, I'd like to open up. I went there and said, hey, I want to open up a secure credit card. Right. The funny thing about PNC, their secure credit cards are a little different. You actually still have to apply for their secure credit card, although it's your money.
Right.
Back then you did. I don't know about now, but you had to apply. So the first time in 2016, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get the card. So I came back like a couple months. The guy told me to come back. I came back in a couple months with my money and everything like that. And I got it. I don't know what the difference of what happened in that period of time. I don't know, but I got a secure card, $500 with PNC.
Right. Wells Fargo used to have a credit card. Like my first secured card getting out of prison was with Wells Fargo, but they don't even do it anymore. So somebody told me that.
Yeah. And knowing what I know now, I would have went to Discover, like that Discover It card. You know what I mean? So one thing about that card, so I went in there with the money and everything. I put it down in the mail. They issued me a secured credit card, right? So now their secured card is a little different. You have a $36 annual fee that's split over 12 months. So they make you pay $3 a month.
How much? You broke it up.
I'm sorry. It's $36 annual fee split over 12 months.
Okay.
So
$3 a month.
$3 a month. I still have that card. Even if you don't charge anything, you're charged $3 a month. They don't explain it to you. But so you pay that $3 in addition to whatever you charge. So I still have that card to this day that I'm paying $3 a month on. You know what I mean? So I get the $3 card. I get the card, start charging things on it. In the beginning, everybody tells you to keep it under 30%. Right? Keep it under 30%. Everything.
That's what I always tell everybody.
Tell everybody that, man, right now at this point on everything where I'm at, I keep mine under 5%, right?
Under 5%?
Yeah, I keep mine under 5%. But you got to understand my available credit is.
No, we'll get to it.
Okay, I'm sorry. So kept it under 30%, paid it off, everything, start paying it off. At some point, I leave 2017, I begin to leave corporate America. So I left corporate America and I start doing like HR contract work. So at that point, 17, I ended up having like 9 years of human resources experience and everything like that. So I'm just continuing to pay the card off and everything like that. 17, 18, the weirdest stuff happened. My student loans. Okay, that's when my student loans went into actual. They went into actual
Collections, default.
collections. They went into actual default and they went into collections, right? But it's a delay. Okay, so they just disappeared first. I started calling my friends like, "Hey man, your student loans disappeared. Your student loans disappeared." And nobody said, "Hey, that's nah, mine are still there." I'm like, okay, well, mine disappeared. So my credit shot up just a little bit, just a little bit. They went from all those lates of 90 days, 120 days, whatever. I think it's 120 days. If there's anything after that, I don't know. But they went into collections, but they disappeared. So they didn't show anything on my credit. My credit went up. It literally went up. So there's a delay with that. I saw that as an opportunity. From there, I went and got a Capital One card and a Macy's store card. Man, the Macy's store card had a limit of $100.
Right.
The Capital One Platinum card, it had $200. So I'm with these two cards, right? They tell you stay away from your store cards and everything like that, but a lot of people start out with those Macy's, Victoria's Secrets, and all of those just to start something on their credit. So
Right.
I saw that opportunity, man. 2 months later, that's when the collections showed up. So my credit went back down.
When you say it went back down, what was the score? Was it jumped up to what and went back down to what?
I think it went up to, so I was in the fours.
Right.
It went up to like 520 maybe.
That's not much of a jump.
Not at all.
I mean, right.
Not at all. So it went up to like 520. So I'm like, okay, but that was enough for me to get those cards.
Right.
All right. So I got those cards, and then I started, I just started working them, just started paying. You know what I mean? Still, collections hurt. You know what I mean? So we're 2018, and I got all of these late collections. I got all these collections. So I think it was like 9 of them, 9 student loans with all these collections. So they're in collections. But at the same time, I am building positive payment history with my credit cards, right? I think they say it's 11 positive payments for every 1 missed payment or something like that to balance it out. I don't know, but I'm still building, my credit card. So after a while, I'm still building. Capital One, Capital One sent me another like targeted offer, right?
Right.
So they sent me another targeted offer around 18, 19. I take it, right? Got it. Now it's a little bit more, maybe 900, but it's a Quicksilver. So I got the Platinum and I got the Quicksilver plus this PNC secure card. So okay, cool. I'm working it. That's 3 cards now, and I'm like, wow, all right. So we're close to 2019, by the end 2019, and I'm still working at contract work. Still have not touched those student loans. Still haven't touched those student loans. And we're at 19. Now, by then I picked up, some real estate stuff, wholesaling real estate, flipping houses, different things like that, learning that part of the game. Then 2020 hits, right? So the pandemic hits. Right. Banks are tightening up lending. Nobody knows what's going on. People are sending employees home to work. I'm at home working my job, everything like that. We don't know what's going on. So that first February that I recall was around Valentine's Day, right after Valentine's Day, the NBA shut down. Everything happens like that, right?
Right.
Nobody knows what's going on. But by that June, it started open. Well, here in Indianapolis, it started opening up again, right? So shit was opening up. It'd been closed, but shit starting to open up. Money starting to flow. People starting to get those SBA loans and everything like that. The unemployment and everything like that. That's flowing. It's a lot of money flowing. Somebody called my mother and said, man, they're going to call your student loans and see if you can get them in rehabilitation. That's the word. Call your student loans, see if you can get them in rehabilitation because they're going to pause the student loans. I'm like, okay, well, let me go. I called the servicer. I called the servicer, put my student loans in rehabilitation. I had to pay like, it wasn't much. I had to pay like $20 to start the rehabilitation, and then you pay every month. But it was only like $5 a month, right? So I literally
For
put
all of them, or just for each one?
that's all I had to pay for all of them, $5 a month. So I think I paid a big amount though up front, maybe $25, $30, something like that to start it. And then I paid $5 a month for like 6 months.
Okay.
Okay. But I did that with that secured credit card. So that's that. It's going on there. Boom, boom, boom. Got it. So that was June. And then now we're going into 2021. So after I did that rehabilitation thing in January, you know, I always had Credit Karma. I had Credit Karma back when I started getting right before I got the secure card, right? So I always had Credit Karma. So I got a notification like, man, your credit shot up to 6 something. I'm like, what? My credit shot up to 6 something. So boom. And that's January 21. January 21. So I'm like, man, okay, well, that's another opportunity. It's about recognizing those opportunities, right? So those emails saying, hey, man, your credit shot up here and there. People don't pay attention to those as opportunities. I'm big on paying attention to those opportunities. So that was another opportunity. If my student loans left a year before or whenever that was, and I was able to get 2 credit cards, well, man, let me see if I can go apply for credit. I immediately applied for credit cards. I got the I did a credit limit increase on my Macy's store card. So Macy's store card, that was a credit limit increase. I think I went to $1,000 from $100.
Okay.
Okay. I did the Discover It. I did the Discover It credit card. I put 250, whatever their minimum. I think it's 200. I did that, right? Now, backtrack real quick. During the pandemic, when we were at home, man, all I was doing was listening to YouTube videos, reading, and podcasts. So that's all I did. When we were stuck in the house and couldn't go anywhere, that's all I did. I just listened to podcasts. So at this previous time, I'm educating myself. I follow a lot of those guys that you were referencing. I forget the one guy that was talking about credit, and how he built his credit. I can't think. You referenced him in a previous YouTube video on credit. But
Graham Stephan?
Graham Stephan. Yes, Graham Stephan. Graham Stephan is one that I listen to. There are a lot of them. The Asian guy with the credit cards. Matter of fact, I'm in their Facebook group. So in this Facebook group, it tells you all kind of things. They pass along different tips and tricks on credit. It's called the Credit Society. So in there, man, I just was researching, and I also started building business credit that time. You know, a lot of people, when their personal credit is messed up, they start building business credit and everything like that. I did have the real estate EIN business, everything like that. So I had, I could use that EIN, and I was building that no PG. So at that time, I learned about PG, personal guarantees, and everything like that, right? A lot of people don't understand about the PGs and the no PGs when it comes to business credit and different things like that. So at that time, I was doing those net 30s and building my my business credit. So I was building that. I had Floor and Decor, those. So my business credit was better than my personal credit at that point. So anyway, I'm
are you giving a personal guarantee on the business credit?
Okay. No business, no PG. There was actually a Facebook group called Build Business Credit No PG. I don't know if that's still there, but I learned a lot out of that group.
Okay.
So backtrack to 2021. So that January, February, I'm like, okay, well let me try this. So I got a credit limit increase to 1,000, everything like that. I got that Discover It card, which was the $200 secured card and everything with Discover. But what I found out with Discover was much better with their secure card because it unsecures, it graduates. Right. I'm still holding on to a PNC secure card that I've had for since 2000. It'll be 7 this year. So what is that? 2017, right? It never graduates.
The how long does it take before it graduates? The not the no, not the
Oh,
I know not that one. I'm talking
Discover
about
It.
Discover. Yeah.
Yeah, they said, according to all the, I always watch people's comments in their videos. They said 6 months.
Okay.
6 months, and that's what that group said. The credit society said 6 months. Give it 6 months. So that was January or February. Mine graduated in August. It did. They shot me my 200 back. Generally speaking, they're supposed to give you an increase. They didn't.
Yeah.
I
No.
got an unsecured line for $200. But
Right.
I'll take that. I'll take that. So as that's going, in that point in time, also that February, my my Macy's card, they had an offer at the bottom that said, "Hey, if you," it was an offer to upgrade. So my Macy's went from a regular store card to it has a American Express Macy's card. But a lot of people don't understand that American Express is a bank and a processor. So, it processes and it has its bank. Just because it has the American Express thing there, it's not an American Express card. It's actually it's underwritten by Citibank, right? But American Express is the processor on it. So that means that I could take this card and use it at a gas station, right? It offers the same offers, a 10% rebates and everything like that. I get that same thing now from my Macy's card. I can use it outside of the store. So I'm like, wow, well, let's keep going. Let's keep going with this. So I saw that opportunity. I applied. Now, one thing that I also learned was all those hard pulls, with the exception of Capital One. Capital One pulls all 3 bureaus, right? They pull all 3 bureaus, but not every bank and other institution, they don't do that. Some may pull TransUnion, Experian, or Equifax, accordingly, based on the state or whatever you're in. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what other cards I can get on the other bureaus that I have.
Right.
I went app spree crazy. So I ended up getting a Chase. I already had a banking relationship with Chase. I got a Chase Freedom Unlimited, right? I think that one was low. I think that Freedom Unlimited was the limit was low, but I got one. I'm like, okay, well, that American Express Blue Cash every day. That was my first American Express. They actually were fairly generous and gave me six grand. So that BBVA gave me like 9 grand. So I went from 100 or 200, 6 grand, 9 grand. I'm like, okay, like this is over to the spring. We're in May now, from the beginning of the year of 2021 to May.
What are your scores at this point, do you think?
Oh, we're going up. So my scores are high 6s and we're getting into the low 7s.
Okay.
High 6s, low 7s, right? Because of that rehabilitation did something with my loans. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I saw it as an opportunity to make it work. Now I'm still getting the stuff in the mail saying you owe. And I understand that. But it's just not reporting on my credit. So June comes, I ended up with 2 targeted offers for Citibank. So I ended up with balance transfer card. It was the black balance transfer card. I don't remember which one it was, but that one and the Citi Double Cash. I think Citi Double Cash had just dropped. So I think that balance transfer card may have had like a 5 grand bonus, 5 grand amount, and then the Citi Double may have only had like 900 or something like that. 3 grand and 900 or something like that. So it's so funny because my average age of my credit right now is 3 years old, because I ended up with all those cards in that 6-month period. And that's 3 years ago now.
Right.
So that was a bulk of them. Your median mode and everything like that. That's what my age is, because I went crazy, and that was just the first part of the year.
Well, isn't it like your original card had fallen off by then, right? Your original,
Yep.
The one you got at the credit union.
Yep, it was gone. Yeah. It was gone. So that had fallen off by then. I didn't I didn't have anything to worry about. So my credit may have been in now all those new accounts and hard pulls, it temporarily dropped it some. But I'm still high sixes, low sevens. So maybe 7, 10, maybe something like that. Something like that. And I'm just continuing to build. So I'm still watching those Graham Steffens, the Asian guy, I can't think of his name. The older white guy. I love him. I just watched him this morning. I just got a credit limit increase off a new video he dropped. I can't remember all these guys, but I paid attention to their channels. I'm watching their channels religiously. You know what I mean? I got very engulfed in the credit space. My father is a veteran, so I'm like, well, let me slow down. I think I got like 6 credit cards by then within a 6-month period or something like that. Let me slow down. My father is a veteran, so I ended up getting into the Navy Federal space because I've been watching all these videos from all these YouTubers on how amazing Navy Federal was. And keep in mind also, a lot of people at that point in the pandemic, a lot of people were selling their the number you got to get, the number you have, they give you for joining Navy Federal.
Okay. I
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah, your membership number or
membership
something?
number. Yeah, you get a membership number when you're when you're with your referral number. They sell that, like you can give your number to someone else. You're supposed to be a family member, right? But at that
Right.
time, they were just selling them to whoever. But people were capitalizing off of that during the pandemic. But I'm like, let me go in there, and I got in directly off my father. You know, you need to be same bloodline, so mother, father, grandchild, or you can go siblings, something like you can go that way too. But up and down vertically on your family tree or sideways. So I was able to get in Navy Federal. I had my dad's DD 214 and his veteran card, just in case they needed it. But I got in. I got in Navy Federal, and then at that point, I ended up having their higher card, Navy Federal Premier, or the black card that they have on Navy Federal, and that one's like $6,000. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm understanding how credit works, right? I'm understanding. I have a balance of cashback cards, and then that one balance transfer card from Citibank. So I got that, and I'm just working them, right? So I got smart and started I'm like, how the hell can I hit all these sign up bonuses too? Because you want to make sure you're getting these sign up bonuses. If you got all these cards, you got to make sure you're hitting your sign up bonuses. How the hell can I hit my sign up bonus? I started giving my mother a card every month to pay her bills with, and she would give me the cash. So
Right.
here, pay your bills, mom, blah blah blah, and boom, she'll just give me the cash. I'll just pay it off within that period of time. So I'm generating cash back, and I'm generating usage because you got to think at that same time. I don't have a mortgage or anything like that. I don't have anything. I've never had a car payment. My credit is heavy revolving credit, and then those student
Right.
loans, or those were going actually too. But my credit was heavy revolving credit. So I'm like, man, this is really working. So that was the plan, was just to continue to generate, give a card to her every month, and I still do that. I still do that. Give a card to her every month, and then boom. That month I also ended up with a MX Platinum card. So I ended up with the MX Platinum. Now with me, I don't travel a lot. You know what I mean? To where I could that annual fee is $695. Like, and it comes with different perks, but I really don't use it that often. I mean, I don't
Right.
use it to its full potential, right?
Right.
It literally is just like a flex, you know what I mean, for having this card. So, it is what, even to this day, only reason why I have the card, and I'll tell you about how I structured everything. The reason why I had a card, you pull it out, people look at you differently.
Right.
People just look at you differently. So anyway, I picked up an MX Platinum card, and I got that. I'm working that one, working all these cards. A tip, a tip. A lot of people don't understand. You can. A lot of people don't understand. You can change your due dates
Oh, on your cards?
on your cards.
Right.
People don't understand. They think whatever date they give you, you're stuck at. Right. So I changed all my, because like at that point, I think I'm 6'8". maybe 9 cards, up to 9 cards, 9 or 10 cards. I don't remember. I think it's about 10. I was up to like 10 cards. Like, man, I got to organize these. So let me figure out how to organize these. I changed all my credit cards to, I changed all my credit cards to 14, 15, 16. Okay. The middle of the month. American Express wouldn't allow me to change my one card to the 15, or they would all be the 15. And then I ended up getting another. BBVA was bought out by PNC, so I ended up having 2 PNC cards. They were bought out by PNC that same year. So that's the card that's due to 16. They wouldn't allow me to change to the 15. So right now, my credit cards are due at the middle of the month, right? So it's the 11th. But what I did just to organize them, I organized their due dates. My credit cards are due 14, 15, 16. My charge cards are due on the 28th. So they're due at the end of the month, right? They're due 14, 15, 16, but I put on my cell phone, I put the due date 3 days before. So 11, 12, 13, right? I'll get a notification. So I got a notification today to pay the cards that are due on the 14th, right? So I have that. I pay them on those days. Then I use auto pay as a backup.
Right.
And the reason why, because a lot of people, you hear these horror stories where auto pay failed. You know what I mean? Auto pay failed, and the bank doesn't want to. The bank doesn't want to give you grace for for that and everything. So I'm a person
with a 30-day late.
Exactly. So they don't want to give you the grace, but if I do it myself, I know that I was in control of it. I have a high internal locus of control. You got what I'm saying? So that's just me. I'd rather be at fault than leaving it up to them and they mess up, right? So I organized the due dates to, if they're 14, 15, 16, then I get a calendar reminder 11, 12, 13 to pay those bills, right? So on 11, like today, I just went ahead and paid everything that I hadn't paid previously, right? So we're good for those cards that are due at the beginning of the month. And then also, you asked me about the 6% or the 5%. Right. I can manufacture that because I pay all of them and I don't use them after that. I switch to the charge cards.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So whatever utilization that I wanted to manufacture on those cards, that's what it is. So I don't touch my credit cards anymore until after the statement date. All right. So now, like right now, I'm using my platinum card. Right. I'm using that until my statements come out. Generally about a week after the due date. Some of them are 3 days. Some of them are 5. They all have different statement dates. But I have my charge cards that I use in lieu of those being, waiting till those report to the bureaus and everything like that.
Right.
So here we go.
So to keep your balances low, to keep them reporting low. Okay.
To keep them reporting low, that's how I'm able to keep it at 5%. Right. So now I'm using my charge cards, and then that's why those are due at the 28th. So I changed that spend. So it's not much spend in 1 week as compared to my credit cards may have 3 weeks or a month's worth of spend. You know what I mean? Right. So change to the charge cards, which I'm doing now. So anyway, I'm getting pretty good at this. I'm getting pretty good at this now. And then that credit group, the Credit Society, it talks about gardening and applying. Okay, so gardening and applying, 2 tips that I live by. Gardening is where you're just doing credit limit increases and you're paying on time. Right. Credit limit increases, paying on time.
But you're not applying for new stuff so you don't want any hard pulls. You want to keep away from hard pulls during that time.
Correct. So you set a certain time of like 6 months generally. So you're gardening for 6 months, and then you apply, gardening, and then you apply. Right. So at that point, if you look at a lot of my due dates, my anniversary dates, they're either in the middle of the year or they're at the end of the year because of that. So like right now I'm in a gardening phase. I haven't had any new credit cards in 8 months. Okay. But I'm strategic with it. I only have one hard pull on TransUnion. I got 3 on Equifax and 1 on Experian. So now I need to go find credit cards that pull TransUnion and that pull Experian, so I can even it out. Right.
Right. So
So
when they pull, they don't see any other inquiries for at least a year.
at least a year. Correct.
Right.
Correct. I'm going after. I'm attempting to go after the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I want to add that to my list. But if not, I got. I'll show you. I'll tell you about another strategy I'm doing. But that's what I'm attempting to do. So they, at this point, it's 9 months. They won't see a new card until the latest card it'll be 9 months old. The newest card will be 9 months old. 2 cards, they'll be 9 months old. So that's how I work. I'm pretty strategic with my credit cards and everything like that. So
Right.
as of recent, well, let me take that back. So we're at 2022. I learned about, like I just told you, I was revolving credit heavy. Like I had a lot of revolving trade lines on there. I didn't have, I had no installment credit. Again, I've never owned a car payment, never had a car payment, anything like that. I believe in, like the cash cards and everything like that. I'm a car guy, but I'm like the old school stuff like that. So I've had Impalas, Caprices, and Chevelles, but I've never had a regular car note.
Right.
So I'm like, man, I need to get some installment credit on here. And in order for you to get an 800 credit score, you got to have the right mix of installment and revolving credit, showing
Right.
that you can handle both types of credit. And student loans are installment credit, but that shit wasn't reporting. So because Biden, whatever. Thank God for that, because that was that opportunity that I needed. So Navy Federal offers it's called a pledge loan, which is a secured line of credit. I mean, a secured loan. It's a secured loan. So I did my research on it. The tip was you start with $500 and then you pay 90% of it immediately. Right? So you pay 90% of it immediately, and it will report that. So let's say $500, 90% of that is, what is that? $450.
Yeah, $450 is paid off. So you borrowed 500, you still owe $50, but it reports that you've been making the payments for 10
6
payments.
months.
Oh.
Yeah, because so they only for 500 they only allow you 6 months.
Right.
Yeah, they only allow you 6 months. So my next payment I did in the first month. The next payment wasn't due till the last month. So every month in between there, it reports that you've paid it, but you haven't done anything.
Right.
All right. So I'm like, okay. I ran that play twice. So in 22, I ran that play twice. At the end of the year, I had some money sitting in my savings. And I just took that money, it was 10 grand, and I did a pledge loan against it. And it was 10K. Then you pay 90% of it immediately.
Right.
Now, all this stays within your bank. Like they'll take the 10K out, and then they'll originate a loan, a pledge loan.
Right.
It'll show up
100% secured for them, except for the 10%, which who cares?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. So they take it out of your savings, they originate it, and then a day later they put it back. All right. Then you'll pay the 90% immediately, take it out of your savings, then they'll put it back. So this process lasts like a week, like 4 business days, right? Then you'll have the money back, but then you have that you have made these installment payments for. I think my next payment, I originated that at the end of 2022. The next payment is not due to 2027. So it will report as that I've had good payments to this thing until 2027. So
Right.
I don't have to make another payment until 2027.
Right. That's great.
Yeah. So that's something I learned. And then from there, man, my credit shot up. It shot up some more. And the longer it seasons, it just adds value to it. So
Yeah.
now
the one thing I always say, it's like the one thing you have no control over is
time.
Yeah.
Time. You can't, you have no control over that. You just got to be patient with your credit. So now at this point, right now, as of today, I'm 7 years in. You know what I mean? Like and it's been trial and error. But no
What's your
matter
what's your score at now?
815.
815.
815. I took a I I got a I applied for something and I got denied based on having too many lines
Oh, yeah.
of credit. So I got denied, but they send you, in that denial letter, they'll send you your score. And that was last week, it was 815.
Okay.
Yeah. So as of today, we're in 2024. Well, let me backtrack. In 2023, I picked up, again, I'm still gardening and applying, so I picked up some new cards. But then I started getting larger credit limits, right? So I got in the Bank of America ecosystem, and I ended up with out the gate a $24,000 card. So BOA 24. I started getting into the credit unions too. So if you can't get in the Navy Federal, PenFed is just as good. Pentagon Federal Credit Union. I started getting targeted offers from them, and I started taking them. So I would get a 10K here, an 11K there. Those have
11K, $11,000, like a credit card or a
credit
personal,
card.
or are they offering you? Okay, because I was gonna say I get lots of them where like, hey, you've been pre-selected for $20,000, and it's like for a personal $20,000 loan. It's like, okay, well, and I never take them, but I also have different issues than you do because I'm on probation, and they pull my credit, and they have to approve any new credit lines I get. So
Oh wow,
yeah, but I'm
didn't know
almost
that.
done. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I get that from American Express. MX is amazing with sending me those 20. You're pre-approved for 25K. Uh,
so you take them, you take 25 grand. What do? You pay it back?
No, I've never
Oh,
done it. I've never taken the loans. No.
okay,
So what PenFed sends me are the credit cards. Start the targeted offers for the
okay,
credit cards. I haven't taken the loan. I'm in a credit society group, and I'm asking somebody, "Have you ever taken any of these loans?" Somebody asked that the other day. Nobody has ever.
right,
Nobody has said anything back about it. But I want to find out if anybody's taken them. However, I'm not against it. I'd be open to it. To lend out to somebody. You got what I'm saying? Take the
yeah,
25 because it's MX is 25 at 10%. So I would need to charge 25 and arbitrage and get that money in the middle. You know what I mean? I'm not against it. I just want to know the process and see someone else that's had success with it previously. But yeah,
right,
so at that point, I'm getting into the PenFed ecosystem, the credit unions. Like I said, I went back to that Purdue credit union. Now at this point, though, I'm getting real strategic with which banks I'm going to because they serve a purpose, right? So I have Chase because that's my longest bank at this point, and Chase, you don't have a problem walking in and getting $8,000 if you need $8,000, right? You can get a big amount out of Chase. You can also Zelle. I can Zelle the most from my Chase account, right? Huntington, I can only Zelle like $1,500 a day or something like that. You have a monthly amount of $6,000, something like that. So I can't Zelle that much from that. But I'm getting real strategic with the cards that I choose and everything like that. The reason being is because of the trade lines, right? So you can, probably in 21, I think 21, I started learning about trade lines and how people will pay you to be an authorized user on your credit cards. So that's something I learned was, okay, well, let me pick a
where
card.
where'd you learn that?
Um, During the pandemic, I was just learning that. Just those podcasts, those YouTube channels, Facebook
Right,
groups. Everybody was talking about that. So there there was a group on Facebook. So again, I referenced during the pandemic, I was just learning. There was a group, and they offered. I thought it was a scam. Till the lady called me, and she called somebody that gave a testimonial over the phone. Hey, if you put your card with us, blah blah blah. I tried it with her, and it went smooth. They stayed on there for 2 billing cycles, removed them, and I got paid. Well, I got paid before, like when it first reported to their credit, that first billing statement.
What
I
do
got
you
paid.
what do you get paid?
It's negotiable. If you get with a good trade line person, you can get half. So if they charge, and it's dependent upon your
I understand. You mean half? Like if you give them a $2,000 credit card, they'll give you $1,000?
no, I'm sorry. So it just depends on what so age, limit, utilization, all that plays a factor into how valuable your trade line is, your credit card is. So if you have a card that's 25 years old and it has a $30,000 limit, man, somebody will pay you or will pay that company, these trade line companies, $1,000,
Right.
1,200, right?
But if it's a $10,000 credit card and it's 5 years old,
That's probably about 300, 400, for 300 or 400, about 450. It just depends. So different trade line companies, you really got to shop around for
right?
those.
So
Um,
so let's say 300. So you add them on.
yep.
They don't send them a card,
Nope. Comes to my
right? So they
address.
have no access to your money. It just reports on your trade line, your $10,000 credit card that you've had 5 years reports on their trade line saying they have a $10,000 um $10,000 credit card that they've been paying on for 5 years. Even though they're an authorized signer, it still affects their credit. Their credit score shoots up.
Correct.
Okay.
Now they're talking about FICO 10 and FICO 10T, and they're cracking down on all that. But the
I've been
trade
hearing
line,
that. They were saying that when I was in the mortgage industry and we were doing it. That was
yeah,
25 years ago.
exactly. Their trade lines are still selling. Trade
Yeah.
lines are still selling. So, yep. So let's say they charge the trade line company charges $500. If it's a good one, they'll give you 200, 250. Right now, generally speaking, each credit card it has a limit on how many you can add before they start. Uh, they want to cancel your card or something like that. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
like Discover, I think Discover's only one person, and then you got to watch getting CPNs. Some people will try to use a CPN and stuff like that. You got to watch that. So if you get with a good trade line company, they have systems that monitor all of that, the CPN, make sure all that. I had one too, just a little thing that I learned, like on Capital One, they tell you to call your card in stolen or lost every year because the trade line, the person's information is tied to the card, not in the system. So it'll generate. You'll say the card's lost or stolen. That's where their information was tied to the card, not the account, not your account. So it generates like you've never had a trade line, like you sold your trade line, right?
Right.
So that's something I do, and I would suggest that to anybody, man. Depending on how long you've had your cars, at least call your car stolen, because we buy so many things online that, man, I try to get new numbers at least once or twice a year just to make sure that my number, like those card skimmers at the gas stations and everything, your information is out there a lot and people just don't know, and it's hard to protect these days. You know what I mean? So, but I got to the trade line game, where you can make a little money with your trade lines and everything like that. So I picked that up in 21, 22, 21. I did it for a little while.
How many cards have you got at this point?
At this point, I'm at 17 personal, and I just got a business. After we talked this past week, I got my first general business. Like I had floor and decor, Sherwin-Williams that were specific to real estate, but now I have a general one that's overall from American Express.
Right. So
So
how many of the cards were you putting on that forum or with the broker to get you?
you
And you
can
said
only
you only did it a little bit. Like how long?
the first time I only did it maybe I did it probably 6, 7, 8 months, something like that. But then it started getting unfair, right? Like some of those trade line brokers get a little greedy, right? So if they're charging $450, they only want to give you $60.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. No.
so. All right, you said you did it for 6 months with how many cards though?
I only did one just to
Oh,
test it
okay.
out. I only did one, but you could get two people per session. So two. So if I added one person this time, then the next month it just had to alternate, and they kept up with it. They would send you an email to remove, and it stayed on there for 2 billing cycles. Boom. So you only get no more than two people on your card at one time. That was Capital One. So I did that for about 6 or 7, and it was good. It was good money. It was cool money. You know what I mean, just for having good credit. Now a lot of them 1099 you, right, for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's what I did with that. Now, a year ago, I started lending off my cards. Okay.
Right.
So excuse me, let's say I got a credit card and it has 0% APR for 15 months, 18 months, whatever. Well, you could, let's say I come across people in need of different things, right? So let's say you give me a call and you say, hey, I need to borrow $500 for this, whatever that may be. I'll swipe the card for you. Now let me be clear. The people that I lend to are people that I know. It's
Right.
rules to the lending. It's people that I know will pay back, and I trust them. I've had a previous relationship with them, so I just know how they move. So I would lend 500, and the amount that I lend is nothing that I can't underwrite myself. So if they default, I
You can
know I
still, yeah, yeah.
I know I can cover $500, right? So let's say you call me, you needed 500, your bills are late or something like that. I'd hit you with, the 500. Here you go. I'll pay it. Send me the link. I'll pay it. Blah blah blah. I'd even, depending on who you were, I'd even give you the card, right? Because I still can lock the card, right? I can
Yeah.
give you the card number, lock it and unlock it, whatever. That's just, again, these are people that I know. I'm not just random people or anything like that. Um, I lend that, and you pay me back in a month at interest rate 20-25%.
Right.
So
So, go ahead. I was gonna say, have
so
you done larger?
the most I've done was, there was some contractors in my network. They had a job. They had a guaranteed job. XBE, their XBE, minority business owned. They had a contract, and they just needed some supplies and a little money to float them. I did 10-3, 10-6 on my Navy Federal card. Swipe that at the lumber yard or whatever. Swipe that, and then they paid me back 13-6. 13-6. So I paid off the credit line, and then the rest of that was my money. So it was like
How
2,500.
how long did it take you to get that money?
Um, it was like 50 days. It was a lot of those construction companies work on net 30s and stuff like that. So it was just a quick net 30, but it was some stuff in before the net 30, but it was like 55 days.
Okay. And that's
Now,
something you do every you're constantly doing that?
not the 10Ks, but the
Right.
smaller amounts, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I do that at least every month. But the 10Ks, I ain't gonna lie to you, that had me, scratching my head. I was a little nervous on that on that 10K one. So I try not to do that one that often, unless you show me some paperwork from like a legit company. That was one of our larger. They were subcontracted from one of our larger construction companies in the area. So I saw the paperwork and everything like that. So I was confident with it. But yeah, I do that generally but I'll tell people like this. I'll do base hits. People will come and need $200. $200 at 25% interest. You know what I mean? And if it's for a month, they may need something small. That's $50. So 200, they borrow the 200, they give me back 250. Just pay the 200
Right.
off. The $50 goes to, it's mine. It's my money. So I'll use that. And the funny thing about it, I'll use that to pay down. That's a minimum payment on a credit card.
Right.
So, I'll cover all of that, from there. And then that's what I'll do also with the trade lines, because with your trade lines, you need to be under 10%. For you to sell it, it needs to be under 10%.
Okay.
So I've since, I'll get a deposit from them and I'll just take it and I'll put it on the minimum payments, or if it's something small, I'll just put it on that. Cause I generally, like I said, my utilization is under, it's like 5%. So from there, I don't have, much to put on there. Then the rest of it is mine. So
Right.
my thing is now, my goal is to 3x what I did last year. So 4x what I did last year in lending and stuff.
Okay. And you're still doing what, real estate?
Yeah, yeah. Man, it's been slow. It's been slow here, as far as the interest rates and stuff like that. For me, I can't speak for everybody else. Indianapolis is a unique market, where I know you're in Florida or whatever, but you still can get houses. The medium home price is like 200,000, 250, 250. But there's still places where you can buy a house for 50 grand. You can buy a 2-1 for 50,000. Put, at 50,000, it's only about 800 square feet. Put about 30 grand in it, so you're 80, 85 in, and you can sell for 140. So you can still do that, but it's been slow with that. I've worked with a lot of international people that rehab and wholesale and do different things here, and that's been like a bread and butter to me, was just doing the boots on the ground type work for them, doing everything, managing flips, doing things that they can't do because they're half a world away, right? So I still do that, but I've recently, I've been on, you know what Bigger Pockets is?
Bigger Pockets. Sounds familiar.
Bigger Pockets it's a podcast, but it's a forum. So if you type in Bigger Pockets on YouTube, you'll see like a bunch of some of the bigger players that do real estate across the United States. But it has a forum to it. So I'm big on networking. You know what I mean? So I go to the forum every day and I'll make a post and I'll just connect with people and bring that value to them. So one thing I've been trying to pick up on is, you got to learn how to pivot when things get slow. You can make money in real estate doing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
A lot of people just understand is wholesaling and rehabbing, but you may be a private money lender. There's mortgage notes. There's it's a lot of other things you can make money.
Right.
So recently I've been learning about the private money lending, and or brokering private money lending, and raising capital. Like I had 3 people on LinkedIn reach out to me this week about raising capital for their funds. So, that type of thing. But yes, I still do that. I still do HR, just doing HR contracts.
So you're going to continue to do the lending.
Yep.
And
I'm trying to grow that.
You're not going to put the cards back on there. You're just saying because you're not going to. Sorry, I don't know what you say. What we call it, lend out your credit line or your trade lines, because it's just the brokers are getting to be. It's just too much. It's just not worth it.
No, I found a fair broker. He's pretty dope at what he does. And he's pretty fair. 3 times the $60. Somebody tried to give me $60. He was giving me almost 3 times that, 150.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I still do it. Like I got a deposit, the other day. I still do that. I think I still do it. I don't know how many I have on there because certain banks, like American Express, doesn't report history. They can report utilization, and the limit in it, but it doesn't report history, right? So that's the bad thing about Amex, is that so some of these cards I can't do, so that automatically takes off like 3 or 4 cards that I can't use. Then there are certain cards that I won't put people on because it's just, that's just my card, that I have my mother, like I've added my mother on,
Right.
everything like that. So I'm not gonna commingle those two together. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it on there, and I'm gonna just rock with those that I have right now. I think it may be out of 17, maybe 8 or 9 across all of them. And then some of them they don't use, like they don't use BMO Harris. They don't use BMO Harris.
Why not?
I don't know. The new thing I'm working on right now is building a relationship with banks. So I have like I said, I've gotten into be Bank of America this year. Um, I'm taking money from like my savings and just putting them in banks, right? Because fractional reserve lending, that's how banks make money off of depositors. So I've I've built a relationship with two more new banks. And I just put money in there because you check their checking account minimum balances before you get those fees and everything. You see what that is, and then you just put that money over there, and then they will start they'll start soft pulling your credit to see what kind of offers you're good for and everything. So once you get in to get in good with those banks, they'll start sending you those targeted offers that you were talking about for loans and credit cards. So I just opened up two new checking accounts. Of course I'll get that checking account bonus that they give you for opening a checking account and having a certain amount and a qualified direct deposit.
Toaster.
Yeah, toaster back in the day. Toasters back in the day. You'll get those. So I've done that, and I'm just looking to grow that, just grow more relationships with banks because I'm strategic with the banks that I choose. Some banks that I have a relationship with are based on their products. Like this bank may have a good personal line of credit. This bank may have good business lending. This bank may be good for when I buy my first house, my first primary residence, right? So,
Right.
that's what I'm doing. I'm just looking at all their banking products. Like, Key Bank has good business lines of credit and credit cards and, all those things. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just being strategic with the relationships that I build going forward. And I'm just literally just putting deposits in them and just working those going forward. As everyone is building their credit and everything, you can't rush it. You can't rush it. You just got to stay disciplined and go from there. Like you can't. That's the number one thing with this credit stuff is you can't rush the time piece with it. So just stay patient. Keep gardening. I'm on year 7. Like I said, this is year 7 for me. And I came from fours, low fours, and now it's up there. So just keep staying at it. That's all I tell people. Just stay it like you said. I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you doing this. I thought it was interesting when we talked that you went from like a 400 all the way up to like an 800, and I thought
Yeah,
it was interesting because I hadn't met anybody that actually was putting their trade lines, on one of those forums where
yeah.
people can I don't know, what do you call it, renting your trade line or buy it,
Piggybacking. Yeah,
piggyback. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we used to call it, but I was hoping there was something more technical sounding than piggybacking.
Um, I
But
don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
piggybacking.
Because I've actually been on those sites and looked at them. They list like what the high credit, they list all the information and then what they want to do it. I didn't know the
They're legit.
particulars, like if it was
They're
300.
legit. I can give referrals, but they're legit. And that's something I've been showing my kids. Like I was sitting talking to them Sunday, and a deposit came through.
Right.
Um, it's as passive that I will receive because you think about it right now as I will receive right now. It's as passive as I can get. You'll take what 5, not even 5 minutes.
I was gonna say there's no risk. Like if I was getting $250 for putting you on, and you were doing that several times a month for multiple cards, like that's worth it. But when they come down to like, hey, I'll give you $60, it's like go fuck yourself. $60.
Yeah, me and that lady fell out over that, over $60. So funny. It was so funny because I still had a card on there and I forgot. Like her site was A1. Like it was, she has the site built out. Like it's very automated and everything. She probably has the best system that I had. That's who I started with. I'm a loyal person, so I went back to her, but she hit me with $60. I was like, I can't do nothing with that when the guy over here is paying 150 for the same card,
Right.
right? So, like you said, we fell out over that. Like we got into an argument, but I had a card still on there, and somebody came through and and bought it. Now I'm a man of my word though, and that was my fault, right? Again, I have that internal locus of control. That was my fault. I should have took it off of there. But I honored it for that $60. I honored her request for that $60, and I left that person on there.
Right.
And I immediately went up there and deleted it after that. Said, hey, I don't want to do any more. But I did have one recently that I think it was February, March that I had on there for $60. So I did have to. I did do that, and that was on me. That was my fault. But yes, $60.
Hey, I appreciate you guys watching. If you like the video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos like this. Leave me a comment in the comment section, and please consider joining my Patreon. Thank you very much. See ya.